The cameras were still rolling when Aaron Kaufman fell asleep. It was 2012, the first season of Fast and Loud, and Aaron had been awake for 38 straight hours. He sat slumped in a half-built car, tools scattered around him, his head drifting against the seat. Every few seconds he'd force his eyes open, catch a glimpse of the camera crew, then fade out again. Nobody stopped filming. Nobody told him to go home. Out in the shop, Richard Rawlings was pacing with a phone pressed to his ear, chasing another deal. Discovery had asked for 12 custom builds in 24 weeks. Richard said yes on the spot. Aaron found out when the cameras showed up. That moment, Aaron, asleep in an unfinished car while Richard worked the phones, quietly defined everything that would follow over the next 14 years. The plan looked straightforward on paper: 3 mechanics, 12 builds, 6 months. In reality, most professional shops would need 6 months for a single build of that caliber. Aaron lived 45 miles from the Dallas garage in Fort Worth, and with traffic the drive took an hour and a half each way. He started leaving home at 5 a.m. and rarely got back before midnight. Some nights he didn't bother going home at all. He'd sleep inside one of the shop cars and rinse off with a hose out back while the cameras kept rolling the next morning. His best friend Scott McMillan, who'd known Aaron since high school, worked alongside him that first season and watched the whole thing unfold. By week 12, McMillan estimated Aaron had logged over 1,300 hours inside that garage. Richard had logged maybe 200. During one shoot, a director asked Richard how important Aaron was to the operation. Richard laughed and joked about keeping him chained to the shop so nobody could steal him. The crew thought it was funny. Aaron didn't. He was under a car at the time, covered in grease, listening to every word. When Fast and Loud premiered in June 2012, it exploded. By August it had become Discovery's highest-rated series. Viewers loved the contrast: the loud, deal-hungry salesman and the quiet, gifted builder. What they never saw was what happened after the cameras stopped. Richard went home. Aaron stayed, night after night, finishing the work that made the show worth watching. They completed all 12 builds, something no other TV shop had managed. But the cost was hidden. Aaron had crammed years of labor into a few brutal months, and by the end of that first season, he already knew something Richard wasn't ready to admit. This pace was going to break someone. Their story actually started 8 years earlier, in a Dallas shop called 4 Wheel Parts. Aaron was self-taught. No automotive school, no formal training, just years of obsessive curiosity and trial and error in Fort Worth garages. By 16, he'd already built a heavily modified Jeep Cherokee and developed a reputation as the guy who could fix things other people gave up on. In 2004, Richard Rawlings walked into 4 Wheel Parts looking for help with one of his cars. He watched Aaron work for about 20 minutes. Something about the way Aaron moved around an engine, calm, focused, almost surgical, was unlike anything Richard had seen. He offered Aaron a job on the spot. Back then, Gas Monkey Garage was barely more than a side project while Richard sold home healthcare equipment. The shop was small and inconsistent. Aaron started as a junior mechanic, but within a few years he was running the day-to-day builds while Richard handled marketing, deals, and big ideas. Before television ever entered the picture, the two of them spent long stretches on the road together, hauling cars to shows across the country. Richard would drive until late morning, crack open a beer, and hand the wheel to Aaron, who'd drive through the night. Richard later described those road trips as some of the best moments of his life. Aaron rarely mentioned them, which hinted at how differently each man understood their relationship. When Discovery finally came calling, after years of failed pitches from Richard, almost nobody at the network expected the show to work. One executive, Craig Kaufman, took a gamble on a rough sizzle reel. The rest is history. But it's worth noting what Richard said years later, almost casually: Aaron had never been his friend, only his employee. That's a striking thing to say about someone you spent a decade building something with. By 2014, the cracks were already showing, and not just in the working relationship. That year, Aaron decided he wanted to shave his beard. He mentioned it to the producers ahead of time, expecting a quick conversation. Instead, they told him no. Not, "We'd prefer you didn't." Not, "Can we talk about this?" Just a flat, firm no. Aaron paused, genuinely confused. He explained his position calmly. If they wanted him to keep the beard, all they had to do was ask. But if they were going to tell him he couldn't do something as basic as shave his own face, he'd drive to the nearest drugstore, buy a razor, and shave it on camera right then and there. The producers quickly changed their tone. Aaron kept the beard. But something had shifted. The beard wasn't just facial hair anymore. It was a product. The bearded wonder belonged to the show. And Aaron Kaufman, the actual person, was starting to feel like an afterthought. The creative restrictions tightened as the seasons progressed. Back in 2013, Aaron had built a twin-turbocharged 1963 Ford Falcon for the Pikes Peak Hill climb. Months of intense fabrication, heavy custom engineering, exactly the kind of work that made him feel alive as a builder. But after that, the network shifted direction. Future builds had to be smaller, faster, and cheaper. When Aaron pitched an EcoBoost-powered de Tommaso Pantera, a project that would have required 12 weeks of serious fabrication work, the producers rejected it almost immediately. Too expensive. Too slow. Not made for television. Richard, meanwhile, thrived in exactly this environment. Tight deadlines, last-minute deals, the controlled chaos of fast flips. That was his comfort zone. The faster things moved, the more energized he became. Aaron was heading in the opposite direction, craving time, precision, and the satisfaction of building something properly. Two men, side by side, pulling toward completely different futures. By 2016, Aaron had stopped pitching ideas altogether. He showed up, built what he was told, and played his part on camera. The enthusiasm that had once driven him was gone. Early interviews showed genuine excitement. Later ones revealed a man just trying to get through another shoot day. Late in 2016, Aaron sat alone in his truck in the Gas Monkey parking lot. Engine off, lights out, the shop quiet in front of him. He'd just finished another 16-hour day and already knew tomorrow would look the same. He stared through the windshield, waiting to feel something, pride, frustration, anything. Nothing came. Just a hollow stillness in his chest that told him more clearly than any argument ever could. He didn't make a dramatic announcement. Instead, he started moving quietly. He called old contacts in the industry and asked about available shop spaces around Dallas. Late at night, when sleep wouldn't come, he sketched out business plans and researched equipment suppliers. What kept coming back to him was a simple idea. Classic Ford F-100 trucks from the late 50s through the late 70s. He loved those trucks for the same reasons most people overlooked them. Honest machines, simple engineering, largely ignored by the big aftermarket companies. He saw both a passion and an opportunity. Leaving, however, wasn't as simple as walking out. His contract with Discovery controlled his schedule and his public image. When he first asked to leave, the network said no and offered more money. Aaron turned it down. When they asked what he actually wanted, his answer was short: freedom. Nothing else. Negotiations dragged on for months. Richard learned about Aaron's plans through producers rather than directly from Aaron, a telling detail about where their relationship had landed. He wasn't shocked, and later admitted he'd known Aaron was unhappy for years. In early 2017, Aaron gave his official notice. Richard posted a statement on the Gas Monkey website saying the departure came out of left field and wasn't his decision. Aaron chose not to respond. Aaron's final episode aired in March 2017. Fans felt the absence immediately. The show continued for a few more seasons but never recovered its momentum. Discovery quietly canceled it in 2020. In late 2017, Aaron opened Arclight Fabrication in Dallas. Small shop, hand-picked crew, no cameras. For the first time in years, no one was standing over his shoulder pushing for faster, cheaper, more television-friendly builds. The freedom was real. The difficulty was also real. Suddenly, he was buried in payroll, vendor contracts, invoices, and cash flow. Instead of building cars all day, he was managing spreadsheets and taking phone calls. He later admitted that becoming the boss was harder than anything television had thrown at him. His relationship with his girlfriend felt the strain. His employees noticed how tense he became. He wasn't at his best, and he knew it, but he also understood the trade-off. Real independence meant learning how to run a company, not just to build. When Discovery came calling again, it was Craig Kaufman, the same executive who had originally greenlit Fast and Loud, who flew to Dallas and had a long dinner with Aaron. Aaron said no at first. Kaufman kept pushing, this time offering something different. A show built entirely around Aaron's vision, his pace, his projects. They eventually found common ground. That became Shifting Gears in 2018. Each build stretched across multiple episodes. Aaron chose the projects and controlled the creative direction. The very first build was a brutal off-road monster truck designed for King of the Hammers, exactly the kind of complex, ambitious project that networks had once told him was too risky for television. After 2 seasons, Discovery moved on. Aaron didn't see it as a failure. He'd proven he could work on his own terms. Today, Aaron divides his time between ArcLight fabrication and racing. In 2022, he returned to Pikes Peak driving a 1949 Ford F1 called Old Smoky, finally competing in an event he'd spent years helping other people prepare for. He works with brands that value craftsmanship over speed, takes on long-term builds with room for creativity, and chooses every project himself. As for Richard, the two men aren't enemies, but they aren't close. Aaron has described it plainly, they just don't have much of a rapport anymore. Richard has said life at the shop is calmer now, easier. Those comments stung some fans, but they also captured a genuine truth. Richard thrived in the environment that burned Aaron out. Neither man was wrong. They were just two opposite personalities who built something remarkable together and then ran out of road. What people mistook for a deep friendship was always something more transactional, a professional alliance built around shared goals. When those goals diverged, so did they. The partnership ended the only way it could, quietly, with Aaron sitting alone in a dark truck, staring at a garage he'd already decided to leave.